and welcome back to the 12 Days of Foundation. Today is day 4. We are testing out the Hourglass Vanish Seamless Finish Stick Foundation. I will list the previous reviews that I have done down below, along with timestamps to kind of guide you through this review if you're looking to kind of skip ahead. Things like the before and after flash photo test, and then of course how it held up throughout the day. But let's go ahead and get started. So the Hourglass Stick Foundation has been around for quite some time, and this is not a first impression. I've actually worn this foundation a ton, but I've more so worn it when I'm going to events and things that I'm going to be out for a couple of hours and I know that I want to look really flawless, and I have worn it for a longer amount of time, but not to the point where I've really kind of monitored how it's looked on my skin. So that's what we're going to be doing today. It retails for $46 American and 56 Canadian. You're getting 7 grams of product in there, and I'm not exactly sure what the average amount of foundation in a stick foundation is. You're going to get less than a liquid, but just to kind of compare, in the Maybelline, in the Tarte, and in the NARS stick foundation, you are getting 9 grams. So you're getting a little bit less product in here, but it does have some pretty big claims of being quite full coverage. On the Sephora website, it says it's a long-wearing foundation that has the coverage of a concealer, the fluidity of a liquid, along with having the weightlessness of a powder, and it is full coverage. Then in kind of the listed description, it says it's medium to full, good for all skin types, and then it has a satin finish. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this on my face. I'm using the shade Golden Tan, and I will link to some previous reviews I've done of more popular foundations and just a list of my other foundation shades if you're curious. And I am gonna prime half of my face with the Hourglass Veil Primer. So I'm just gonna draw this on my face a little bit. And I really like stick foundations because I just find them easy. But I find a lot of stick foundations, there's more now, but there aren't as many that are matte for whatever reason. I would feel like, I don't know, to me it seems like stick foundations would be matte, but I'm also using my e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush with this. Yes, I'm using a $6 brush with a $56 foundation, all about balance. But I do like a brush with just about any stick foundation the most. And it blends out just so easily. And it really is like seamless. It does have kind of like that powder finish, but it doesn't feel dry on the skin. So you can see that's just like one light layer. I'm gonna build it up just slightly, but I did get quite a bit of coverage out of that. Mostly just on my cheeks. Those are kind of the main problem area on my face. And you can kind of stipple it into your skin first and then blend. If you kind of stipple it in, you'll build coverage a little bit better that way. And it's just like skin, like it really is seamless. So as you can see, it gives a beautiful natural finish to the skin. As they describe it, it definitely is kind of like a satin matte. And one thing that I noticed about this foundation is it does have quite a bit of coverage in it. It really did a good job covering up all the redness I had on my face. I went in and kind of like spot concealed, but with the actual foundation, and just kind of stippled it over my real trouble areas to build it up instead of completely building it up all over my face. But the interesting thing about this foundation is it gives a really nice amount of coverage, but the majority of foundations I would never wear just a foundation alone with no concealer, nothing else. But with this, it just has such a skin-like finish that I would feel comfortable wearing this alone. I mean, I would love to throw on like a mascara or something, but just the finish on it is really unique. And I understand it's an incredibly pricey foundation, but in just the application and the way it looks on the skin, it really does have something special about it, I guess we'll say. So I'm gonna go ahead and put on the rest of my makeup, and then I will show you how it looks in photos. I have my extra full face of makeup on now, and things are looking great. Everything blended really nicely on top of the foundation. I always set my foundation, but if you have maybe normal but definitely dry skin, you may not need to feel the need to powder this because it does set down quite a bit to kind of that satin matte finish. But I set everything I put on my face, and I will have all of the makeup that I'm wearing listed down below as well. As for the photo test in the studio lighting that I use here, I thought it looked really good. You can definitely still see some of the freckles on my skin. I really didn't build it up much in the center of my face, primarily just on my cheeks. Those are my problem areas. And then in flash photo, I'm getting a ton of flashback. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I get so much flashback with so many foundations, but I never hear anybody else talking about flashback. So I'm like, is it just me? Is it something I'm doing? But as I've mentioned before, that is not an issue for me for the most part. I'm not taking many photos at night, but it does give quite a bit of flashback, something to be considered. So overall, I think that things look beautiful on my skin. I am so happy with the way that it looks. So I'm gonna go ahead about my day and I will check back with you midway in some natural light. It's time for my midday check-in and I think things look great. I'm actually not even gonna powder. Still feels and looks really matte on my skin, but doesn't look or feel dry by any means. I was just out for about an hour and a half walking around. I had some errands to run. I was wearing sunglasses, so I do have a little bit of wear on my nose here. And then I actually tried on a few clothing items and I did get a little bit of foundation on one of the sweaters. I ended up buying it actually, but I find I get transfer no matter what. But I found that on the actual look of my skin, I didn't actually see any foundation or any patchiness on my face. So I think that things look great and I love this foundation. I've talked about it before anyway, so no surprise here. But of course, it's always better to get to see it firsthand why I enjoy it. So I'm gonna wear it for a few more hours and I will show you how it looks at the end of the day. And we're back. It is the end of the day. I'm looking kind of shiny here. It's partially shine and partially sweat. Sorry if that's too much information, but I just did a whole bunch of walking and I actually just got in the door, so I'm a little bit sweaty, but overall, things look really good on my skin. I really love how this foundation wears throughout the day. The primed side is looking a little more smooth than the unprimed side, but the level of shine seems to be about the same. It hasn't patched off in any places. It has not oxidized. My blush, bronzer, highlight, all that is still in place. Things look great and it does not look cakey on my skin. I find sometimes with foundations when the oils start to come through, things start to cake up and kind of move around, but this looks really good. But I will blot and powder just to show you how that looks. And I don't know if you were hoping that this foundation would be a fail because it's expensive and I wouldn't be able to make the recommendation, but I definitely do, ew, sorry if that's gross. One time someone commented on my video and they were like, the way you blot is gross. I was like, okay, sorry. What I was saying was, I definitely do recommend this foundation. It's my favorite stick foundation that has a good amount of coverage in it. I still like the NARS, I still like the Sephora sticks, but this one definitely is my favorite of the bunch. But the price tag is up there for sure. Sometimes when a product is really expensive, it's hard to tell if you're paying for the name or are you actually paying for superior quality. In this case, I definitely think you're paying for something that is really high quality, great wear time. This foundation seems to have really good reviews across the board. I've seen a lot of people that love this, so I was really curious to try it for myself. Of course, the price tag is really high. This is not an everyday foundation for me. This is something that I wear on a day or even evening when I know that I really want to have that flawless look, especially if I know I'm going to be like talking face to face with people and I may not want to have like a complete full coverage super cake face going on because I want to look flawless, but I want it to look like it's my skin. So this definitely gives a really beautiful look to the skin and I really do love it. So let me know if you have tried this foundation. I think it could be good for the majority of skin types. If you have a more dry or normal skin type, you could just avoid powdering this. And I actually saw recently that it looks like Hourglass is going to be going completely vegan in 2018, which is awesome. So really cool to see brands taking that initiative. Anyways, let me know if you have tried this foundation or if you will be trying it. Tomorrow for day 6, I'll be testing out a super full coverage foundation, so stay tuned for that. If you'd like to connect with me, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat at SamanthaJaneYT, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!